Moses had asked the question, "Who am I that I should speak to Pharaoh? I am of uncircumcised lips. Why should he heed me?" The account then continues in chapter 6, telling us just where Moses fits in to the family of Israel. These are the heads of their fathers' houses. The sons of Reuben, the firstborn of Israel, were Hanok, Palu, Hezron, and Carmi. These are the families of Reuben. And the sons of Simeon were Jemuel, Jamin, Ohad, Jachin, Zohar, and Shaul, the son of a Canaanite woman. These are the families of Simeon. These are the names of the sons of Levi, according to their generations, Gershom, Kohath, and Merari. And the years of the life of Levi were 137. The sons of Gershom were Libni and Shimei, according to their families. And the sons of Kohath were Amram, Izhar, Hebron, Uziel, and the years of the life of Kohath were 133. The sons of Merari were Mali and Mushi. These are the families of Levi, according to their generations. Now Amram took for himself Jochebed, his father's sister, as wife, and she bore him Aaron and Moses. And the years of the life of Amram were 137. The sons of Izhar were Korah, Nepheg, and Zikri. And the sons of Uziel were Mishael, Elzaphan, and Zithri. Aaron took to himself Elisheba, daughter of Abinadab, sister of Nashon, as wife, and she bore him Nadab, Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. And the sons of Korah were Asir, Elkanah, and Abiasaph. These are the families of the Korahites. Eleazar, Aaron's son, took for himself one of the daughters of Putiel as wife, and she bore him Phinehas. These are the heads of the fathers' houses of the Levites, according to their families. These are the same Aaron and Moses, to whom the Lord said, "Bring out the children of Israel from the land of Egypt according to their armies." These are the ones who spoke to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to bring out the children of Israel from Egypt. These are the same Moses and Aaron. And it came to pass on the day that the Lord spoke to Moses in the land of Egypt, that the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "I am the Lord. Speak to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, all that I say to you." But Moses said before the Lord, "Behold, I am of uncircumcised lips. How shall Pharaoh heed me?" My name's Arthur. Thank you for joining me as we meditate on this passage from Exodus chapter 6, verses 14 to 30. The point of this passage is to tell us just who this Moses and Aaron are. Aaron is Moses' older brother, and it turns out he is head of the family of Levi, the third son of Jacob. And he is evidently the senior person of the whole nation of Israel at this point in time. Senior because of his connection back to Levi, that he is the great-grandson of Levi on the father's side, and the grandson of Levi through his mother, for his mother was Levi's daughter. If you read the commentaries, there's some confusion about the period of time that the children of Israel were in Egypt. Most commentaries seem to say that there was 400 years between when Jacob came into Egypt and when the children of Israel came out of Egypt. The figure 400 years coming from a prophecy given to Abraham, that his descendants would return to the land of Canaan after 400 years, and that they would be oppressed for that 400 years. But to use that time frame means that you must discount what is explicitly stated in this passage. That is, that Amram married his father's sister Jochebed. Levi came into the land of Canaan, we can work out that he came in when he was about 53, because he was no more than 14 years older than Joseph, who was at that time 39. And he lived to 137 years. So at the very least, his daughter Jochebed might have been born 80 years after they came into the land of Canaan. And as she was bringing up her children, it was the time when things started to turn bad for the Israelites. And so when Moses was born, she had to hide him. Now we later find out that the children of Israel left the land of Canaan when Moses was 80 years old. So the total period could not have been 400 years. I take it that the 400 years begins with the birth of Isaac, the first descendant of promise of Abraham. And that would mean that the period in Egypt was 210 years. And so Jochebed would have been around 50 when Moses was born, which is not unreasonable because she already has older children. We know that Moses had an older sister who was old enough to negotiate with the princess that Jochebed should raise Moses. And, of course, Aaron is an older brother as well. We'll be told at the actual Exodus that it was 430 years to the day that the children of Israel came out. So what is the beginning of that 430 years? Well, the New Testament specifies that 430 years began with the call to Abraham in Ur of the Chaldees. For in Acts 7, Stephen says, "Brethren and fathers, listen. The God of glory appeared to our father Abraham when he was in Mesopotamia, before he dwelt in Haran, and said, Get out of your country and from your relatives, and come to a land that I will show you." And Paul in Galatians 3 says that the law was given 430 years after the promise was given to Abraham. Genesis 12 begins with Abraham in Haran recalling the promise given to him in Mesopotamia. At that time he was 75. And so that gives a total of 430 years from when the Lord spoke to Abraham in Ur to the Exodus. Now, when Abraham was 75, he left his father's house. So he took the final step of the Lord's challenge when he was 75. And Isaac was born when Abraham was 100. So I take it that the 400 years begins with the birth of Isaac, his descendants, and that the departure from Egypt was 400 years after the birth of Isaac. So I surmise Abraham left Ur 5 years before he left Haran, and Isaac was born 25 years after he left Haran, making 30 years. If we work on 400 years from the birth of Isaac, then Esau and Jacob were born when Isaac was 60. And we're explicitly told that Jacob came into Egypt when he was 130. So there's 190 years from the birth of Isaac to when the children of Israel came into Egypt. And that means 210 years that they were in Egypt. We've seen that 210 years consists of roughly 80 years to the birth of Jochebed, 50 years to the birth of Moses, and 80 years to the Exodus. But this also means that at that time, Levi, Kohath, and Amram had passed away. Aaron was the senior person of the house of Levi, and indeed of the whole house of Israel, because of his close connection back to Levi. And we're told this is the Moses and Aaron, who the Lord called and sent to speak to Pharaoh, "Let my people go." So Moses could say he is a person of no consequence, but in actual fact, he with Aaron had the responsibility of the nation of Israel because they were the senior people in that nation.